This is CBS News New York.
Now at 6:30, remembering Jimmy Carter, the longest living president in U.S. history. The reaction, the tributes, and the plans for a final farewell.
No rain today, but how long is it expected to stay away? The wet yet warm weather on the way that could impact your New Year's plans.
And Times Square getting ready, another big test today at the crossroads of the world, as city leaders will be revealing plans to keep revelers safe. It's Monday, December 30th. I'm Cindy Hsu.
And I'm Mary Calvi. Let's get right over to Tony Sadiku and your first alert forecast. 60 degrees today, Tony.
Yeah, possibility, Mary and Cindy. Near record highs this afternoon. You remember how comfortable yesterday felt? Basically the similar kind of day today. But first, a quick hello and goodbye from the rain as the quick system moves in. Most of it overnight, but some stragglers right now through parts of the east end. So watch out from, say, Riverhead to Mattituck, out towards, say, Cutchogue, through parts of Brookhaven and Yaphank. You're still getting some light to moderate pockets of rain, but the showers are much lighter. So if you're driving westbound, you'll run into much clearer conditions, and that's certainly going to be helpful. And there you go, the temperature change. Still nice to see positive numbers. It's a spring feel, but keep in mind, I want to give you the first alert on this because tomorrow morning, we're going to start to erase some of this mild day. Let me show you where we're starting things off here this morning. You head out in places like Morristown, in the mid-50s for you. Greenpoint, too, in the mid. That is the common denominator. The clouds, of course, helping us out, but the winds will be a factor during the day, too, helping to dry out conditions for a time before that next round of rain heads our way. And yes, could be impactful to New Year's Eve celebrations. We'll have details on that part of the forecast in a moment. But at this time, I want to check back in with traffic reporter Anique Evans, see what's happening on the roads. Morning, Anique.
Good morning, Tony. Let's start you off on the northbound side of the Cross Bronx Expressway, where we still have this stalled tractor trailer as you're getting to Castle Hill Avenue. It has the center lane closed. The right lane was closed earlier, but that has opened up. Unfortunately, you are backed up to the Bronx River Parkway with that. Over in Woodbridge, New Jersey, we're still dealing with a vehicle fire on the northbound side of Route 1 as you split with Route 9. The right lane is closed with that. And we've been telling you about this for several days now. We still have all lanes closed on 80 East as you get to exit 34 in Wharton. That's because of a sinkhole that opened up. Luckily, that should be reopening at about 9 a.m. this morning, but at this time, you'll still want to take Route 46 as your alternate. Alternate side parking is in effect today citywide. Mary and Cindy, back to you.
Anique, thank you. 6:32 tributes are now pouring in following the death of Jimmy Carter. The 39th U.S. president died yesterday at the age of 100. The Carter Center says he was surrounded by family at his Plains, Georgia home. Carter served one term as president. He then went on to a distinguished second act of humanitarian work.
The White House says a state funeral for Jimmy Carter will be held in Washington on January 9th. There will also be a public observance in Atlanta, followed by a private interment in Plains, Georgia. Elijah Westbrook joins us now with more on the remarkable life of former President Jimmy Carter. Elijah.
Cindy and Mary, millions will be paying tributes to former President Jimmy Carter today. While Carter served only one term, many people remember the former president for the things he did after he left the White House. He transformed the role of ex-president and became a fierce defender of human rights. All the while, he maintained a strong commitment to faith, family, and his Southern roots.
This morning, millions around the country are pausing to remember the life of the nation's 39th president, Jimmy Carter. Carter died Sunday at the age of 100, surrounded by his loved ones at his home in Plains, Georgia, following a battle with cancer and other health setbacks. Sunday night, President Joe Biden called Carter a remarkable leader, humanitarian, and a dear friend.
Some look at Jimmy Carter and see a man of a bygone era with honesty and character, faith and humility. It mattered. But I don't believe it's a bygone era. I see a man not only of our times, but for all times.
Carter was a peanut farmer turned president, coming from a religious family before marrying his wife Rosalind in 1946. The Carters not only became partners in life, but also in their political and humanitarian endeavors. Carter was elected to the Georgia Senate in 1962, governor in 1971, and president just 5 years later.
This inauguration ceremony marks a new beginning.
As president, Carter created the Departments of Education, Energy, and FEMA. He also helped to return the Panama Canal to Panama, and in 1978 helped establish peace between Egypt and Israel. Biden has proclaimed January 9th to be a national day of mourning and the date of Carter's state funeral. The Carter Center says public memorial services will also be held in Atlanta, all before Carter is laid to rest near his home next to his beloved wife, Rosalind.
I didn't ask God to let me live, but I just asked God to give me a proper attitude toward death. And I found that I was absolutely and completely at ease with death.
Former President Carter celebrated his 100th birthday in October, along with a backyard military flyover honoring his service in the Navy. Outside the Carter Center in Atlanta, mourners are leaving flowers, candles, and signs like this one saying, "We love you, President Carter." The Empire State Building was lit up in red, white, and blue to honor the former president. A moment of silence was held for Carter before the Washington Commanders' Atlanta Falcons game outside the nation's capital. At the U.S. Capitol and the White House, the flags have been lowered to half-staff.
What a remarkable life. Well, Carter was the longest living former president. The Carter Center says the former president traveled the world advocating for human rights, work he called gratifying, adventurous, and unpredictable. Mary.
Elijah Westbrook, thank you. Our coverage continues coming up at 7 o'clock on CBS Mornings. We'll hear from his family and from Secret Service members who protected him for nearly half a century.
Happening today, a pair of events scheduled in the city demanding justice for Robert Brooks. Video shows on December 9th, the 43-year-old Brooks was beaten while handcuffed by a group of corrections officers at the Marcy Correctional Facility upstate. He died the next day. At 11 o'clock this morning, the December 12th movement will hold a press conference at Governor Hochul's Manhattan office. And at 4 p.m., the Center for Community Alternatives will hold a rally and march outside the governor's office. That's on 3rd Avenue near 41st Street.
A 48-year-old man is recovering in the hospital after being slashed in the subway. Police responded to the 50th Street and 8th Avenue subway station just after 1 a.m. Investigators say the victim was slashed in the neck. The suspect is in custody and charges are pending. Police say they are not known to each other. The victim was taken to Bellevue Hospital in stable condition.
And police are searching for this person who they say abandoned an infant in the Longwood neighborhood of the Bronx. We're told yesterday around 6 a.m. this woman placed a tote bag with a baby girl wrapped in blankets inside in front of a home on James A. Polite Avenue. The baby was taken to Jacoby Hospital in stable condition and is in the care of staff.
6:37, final preparations are underway in Times Square as the city gets ready to host the world's biggest New Year's Eve celebration.
A massive crowd, about 1 million strong, will pour into Times Square tomorrow night to watch the iconic ball drop and welcome 2025. Christina Fan is there and joins us live with the preview. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Cindy and Mary. For all intents and purposes, today is the final dress rehearsal before tomorrow's big performance. And considering the fact that the ball is the star of the show, organizers want to make sure it operates smoothly before it takes center stage tomorrow evening. Testing will begin as early as this morning as organizers practice raising and lowering the ball before sending it up the 139-foot pole atop Times Square. They will also be flipping on the giant switch to check the kaleidoscope of colors put on by the more than 32,000 energy-efficient LEDs, enhanced by 688 crystal triangles. Over the weekend, there was already a confetti test. Over 3,000 pounds of it will be released to usher in 2025, containing thousands of wishes from people who submitted them at the New Year's Eve wishing well. With an estimated 1 million revelers and people expected to gather at Times Square, security is, of course, a major concern. We know that the mayor and police commissioner will be holding a safety briefing at 11 a.m. this morning to discuss how the NYPD will protect the crowd. And of course, we will be there for that. For now, reporting live from Times Square, Christina Fan, CBS News, New York.
Christina, thank you. CBS New York is the place to be for all your New Year's Eve coverage. Lonnie Quinn will be live in Times Square as part of Nashville's Big Bash. And we will, of course, have reporters in Times Square and elsewhere in the tri-state. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. And now at 6:39, let's get things back over to Tony Sadiku, and it sounds like it's going to be a wet one tomorrow night.
Yeah, Mary, the weather could certainly be a factor. That is that next system we're watching that'll be here tomorrow night, and unfortunately could kind of dampen plans as we kick off the new year. We'll be talking about that, but first, I want folks to be ready for this. The last little bit of the rain is exiting the scene, and I actually think today's a tremendous start to the day and a tremendous day overall. 50s to near 60 degrees with sunshine, so many of you not going to need the umbrellas for long. Instead, sunglasses, not too many layers either. Temperatures nearly 20 above average. But not for long. January will come in with a big chill. We'll talk much more about that coming up. Of course, time out the rain for the new year. But first, we want to see what's happening on the roads. Traffic reporter Nick Evans tracking it all in your First Alert Traffic. Hey, Nick.
Hey, Tony. Let's start off on the northbound side of the Cross Bronx Expressway as we have a stalled tractor trailer as you're getting to Castle Hill Avenue. That's exit 6. The center lane is closed, as you can see here on the screen. They are trying to get that out of the way, but at this time, you are still backed up to the Bronx River Parkway. So unfortunately not a great alternate as you're heading through the Bronx, but just something to keep in mind. Alternate side parking is in effect today citywide. Cindy and Mary, back to you.
Anik, thank you. 6:41 coming up, an investigation into Medicare Advantage dental plans. What is it, and are you really getting the best bang for your buck with this healthcare option?
Plus, we are just under 1 week away from the start of congestion pricing, how you can try to save money before the new tolls take effect.